You've got now what this proposal is. Do you have any lingering concerns?
Look, Tom, I think an Integrity Commission is a really good thing, very good for the country. I haven't seen those just recent comments just a few moments ago from Peter Dutton, but broadly, I think I'm very supportive of an Integrity Commission, and we've obviously got to go through the detail of the legislation, but I look forward to it being passed through the Parliament.
His emphasis was if you've committed a crime, you should be prosecuted and so on. But this will have findings of corruption that could or could not be a crime. Are you comfortable with that? This will look at corruption that may well be well short of criminal threshold. Well,
look, as I said, I mean, we need to go through all of the provisions in the bill. It's hundreds of pages, and I don't really want to go into very specific.
No, but that's elements. A broad principle.
Yeah. Well, look, obviously, these commissions tend to have a fairly broad remit, but it's a good thing. If people are corrupt, they should have the book thrown at them, and if their conduct has been sufficient to rise to the level of criminal activity, then they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
And everyone agrees with that, but the question is, if it's corruption but falls short of criminal, is it still right the public know about it? If these eminent legal minds comb through it all and still say, we believe this was a case of corruption, that's worthy of knowing about, even if it's not at a criminal level?
Well, look again, Tom, I don't really want to get into all the specifics of the bill.
But that's not a specific of the bill. That's just a very broad principle that Labor's pushed and the Coalition previously opposed.
Yeah, well, Tom, again, as I say, I don't think it's appropriate for me to get ahead of the Coalition's formal response on this, but...
So you'll have a say in party room.
Well, sure, and I may express it there. But this is a really good thing for the country to have an Integrity Commission, and I welcome the introduction of the bill, and I look forward to its discussions and ultimately its passage through the Parliament.
Public hearings would be very rare. The public will probably think politicians want to protect themselves.
Yeah, well, again, I don't think that's the intention, obviously, of the government, and as I understand the provisions of the bill, that would be up to the Commission to determine when those circumstances were the right time for public hearings, but that's the sort of thing that presumably will be looked at over the next couple of months through the committee process, and the opposition will form its formal position, and we'll go from there.
Would you want it to be a very rare exceptional circumstance? Is that where...
Oh, look, I think there are clear arguments on both sides here. You don't want people who have done nothing wrong to be, unnecessarily dragged to a public forum in that way, but equally there are times when a public hearing would be appropriate.
Is there an issue that anyone before ICAC, for example, and anyone before the NAC, as I guess it'll be known, even if they're just there as a witness for someone else, as soon as you're before it, it sullies your name, so that if you're being called there and you've done nothing wrong, that should be evidence in private?
And I think that's part of the concern about what we've seen in some of the state commissions. So, the goal here is to identify corruption, to root out any corruption that exists, and to go after people who are corrupt. And then the process of this bill is about doing that in the most effective way.
You have noted with awareness the potential for the TGA to restrict paracetamol. So this would possibly restrict it to over 18s, or even restrict how much anyone could buy of it. The concern is overdose, which is surprisingly prevalent. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, I asked the TGA to look into this when I had responsibility for mental health. About half of all overdoses in Australia are paracetamol. And the TGA commissioned an independent review. That review has come back and said pack sizes should be reduced, and also that sales should be restricted to people over the age of 18 if they don't have a prescription. The independent experts say that those measures will improve safety and reduce overdoses. I think they're very sensible recommendations. The TGA is asking for people to put forward submissions by the 14th of October, and I look forward to the constructive contribution of retailers on this. Coles, Woolworths, Metcash. I think it's very important that they get behind this, and because there's nothing more important than the safety of kids.
Is that an indication that there was a bit of pushback? I think, was it over codeine, and you don't want similar...
Look, I'm not speaking for the retailers, but
that's the recent history in this area, right?
Well, look, I think it is absolutely incumbent on the retailers to support this. We've seen a very disturbing increase in paracetamol poisonings for young women, girls and young women, by several 100% in the last decade. And this is a very serious issue, and the independent report's recommendations, I think, are entirely appropriate.
All right, David Coleman, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Tom.